She only ate half. She was saving the rest for me. He said it so quietly that Wren Calloway almost didn't catch it. She had come to refill the water glasses at table 7, the corner booth by the rain-streaked window, and found a man in a wrinkled button-down sitting across from a 4-year-old girl who had fallen asleep against the vinyl seat cushion, one small hand still curled around a dinner roll. The man was looking at the child's plate with an expression that had nothing to do with hunger and everything to do with love in its most exhausted, most honest form. Wren set the water pitcher down slowly. She was 25 years old, 8 months into waitressing at Harlow's Diner on Route 9, working double shifts 3 days a week to cover the gap between her rent and her income. She knew tired. She knew the particular mathematics of splitting one meal into 2. She recognized it the moment she saw the single entree on the table, the child's chicken and rice, half-eaten, carefully pushed to the edge of the plate closest to the man. "Is she okay?" Wren asked softly, nodding toward the sleeping girl. The man looked up. His eyes were dark and steady, the kind that had clearly once been confident and were currently in the process of remembering how. "She's fine. Long drive. She goes out fast when she's full." He paused. "Or half full." There was a self-deprecating honesty in those last 2 words that settled in Wren's chest like a stone dropped in still water. "Can I get you something? The soup's good tonight. Potato and leek." "Just the check is fine," he said, not unkindly, just the way people speak when they have already done the math and the math is already answered. She nodded and walked back to the counter. She stood there for a moment, looking at her order pad. Then she tore off the check, walked it back to the kitchen window, and said 4 words to the cook. "Comp table 7, please." His name was Beckett Crane, 33 years old. 14 months earlier, he had been the founder and CEO of a mid-sized logistics software company that had spent 3 years growing steadily before one catastrophic contract failure had triggered a chain of consequences that had taken another 8 months to fully unravel. He had lost the company, not to scandal, not to recklessness, just to the specific misfortune of one enormous client pulling out at precisely the wrong moment when the firm had been most leveraged, most exposed. He was rebuilding. He had a consulting arrangement that covered the basics. He had his daughter Rue 4 days a week under a custody arrangement that he was grateful for and intended to honor with every good day he could string together. Today had been a long drive to a school assessment 2 towns over and back. Rue had fallen asleep before the diner and woken up hungry. He had ordered her the chicken and rice and told himself he wasn't hungry, which was the kind of lie that fathers tell with complete commitment. When the check came back, marked "Compliments of the house, enjoy your evening," he sat with it in his hand for a long moment. He looked up. The waitress with the dark braid was refilling coffee at the counter, not looking at him. Deliberate, giving him the dignity of the moment without an audience. He felt something loosen in his chest that had been pulled tight for a very long time. Rue woke up when the bread basket arrived, a second one, unrequested, that Wren set down quietly with a small ramekin of honey butter and no explanation. The little girl sat up, looked at the basket with the focused assessment of a 4-year-old presented with an opportunity, and then looked at her father. "Daddy, bread." "I see that, Bug." "Are we allowed?" Beckett looked across the diner at the young woman behind the counter, who was writing an order and not watching them. "Yeah," he said softly. "I think we're allowed." Rue ate 2 rolls with the solemn efficiency of someone making up for lost time. Beckett ate the soup that appeared at his elbow 10 minutes later, also unrequested, also uncommented upon. It was good, warm and thick, the kind that takes time to make. He ate it slowly, watching his daughter arrange the remaining bread into what she described as a bread city, and felt, for the first time in several months, like a man having a normal evening with his daughter, rather than a man managing the optics of difficulty. When Wren came to clear the table, Rue looked up at her with the direct, uncomplicated assessment of a child and said, "You have pretty hair." Wren smiled, the kind that happened before she could arrange her face. "Thank you.
Yours is pretty too. Mine has a knot in the back, Rue said seriously. Daddy can't do hair. Beckett closed his eyes briefly. Rue. It's true, Daddy. Wren looked at Beckett. He looked at the ceiling with the expression of a man choosing to find this funny rather than the alternative. She laughed, quietly, genuinely, and it made him laugh too, in that involuntary way that feels like something releasing. I have a comb in my bag, Wren offered, because it seemed like the natural next sentence. You really don't have to. I know, she said simply. The same two words, the same meaning. She sat across from Rue for 4 minutes and worked out the knot with the patience of someone who had grown up with younger siblings, talking to the little girl about the Bread City's zoning laws and which role was the mayor. Rue provided all the answers with great authority. Beckett watched them and didn't say anything. There wasn't anything adequate to say. He left a note on a paper napkin under the empty soup bowl. It said, "Thank you, not just for the meal, for the way you did it. There's a difference, and you know it." He buckled Rue into the back seat and drove the 40 minutes home. Rue fell asleep again near exit 7, one hand around a dinner roll she had requested to take for the road. He didn't think about the business cards in his coat pocket. He carried them out of habit from a period of his life when he had handed them out with confidence. He hadn't given one to anyone in 11 months. He thought about it in the parking lot. Then he went back inside. Wren found it tucked beneath the napkin when she cleared the table. A white card, clean and simple. Beckett Crane, founder and CEO, Crane Logistics Solutions. A phone number, and below it, in small handwriting that clearly wasn't printed, "I'm rebuilding something. I could use someone who understands the difference between charity and grace. If you're ever looking for something more, call." She stood at table 7 for a long moment in the after-dinner quiet of the diner, the card in both hands, the rain still moving down the window beside her. She thought about the man looking at his daughter's half-eaten plate with that particular expression, the soup she had sent without comment, the knot in the little girl's hair, the way a single evening could hold, if you paid attention to it carefully, more genuine human exchange than some months did in their entirety. Her manager, Dell, passed behind her with a tray. "Good tipper?" "No tip," Wren said. She looked at the card again. Something better. She called on a Thursday. He answered on the second ring. The conversation lasted 40 minutes and covered, in no particular order, logistics software, her organizational systems, the Bread City's expansion plans as narrated by Rue in the background, and the specific difference, which they both understood without needing to define it, between being given something and being seen. She was not rescued. He was not transformed. They were two people who had recognized something honest in each other across a diner table on a rainy evening and had decided, carefully and without rushing, to see where honesty led. Kindness given without calculation is the rarest currency there is. Spend it freely. You never know whose evening or whose life is running on empty. If this story touched your heart, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. Let's spread more stories of kindness and hope together.